Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's December 1st, 2013, and this week we're going to cover the art of expanding rhythm guitar playing. Now, this question was sent in from Tony. He's in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he wrote in with this email to me. I'm a 50-year-old wannabe guitar player who's still playing the same way that I played 35 years ago. The main thing I do is just chord strumming and singing to my dog, who usually falls asleep. My question is, what can I do to expand my limited rhythm guitar skills so I can sound less boring? By the way, Hendrix is the king of great rhythm in my books. Thanks, Andrew, from Tony in Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, Tony. I think it's really important to make a solid study of rhythm guitar, and especially the ways that great players embellish the performance of their parts. You know, so much more life can be added to the sound of a rhythm guitar part by simply using only a few simple to apply rhythm guitar techniques. Some of it has to do with how we execute the chord voicings, and some of it has to do with the application of the technique itself. But when these elements get added, a big change to the overall sound ends up happening, and it's all for the better. So let's start off here by establishing a foundational set of chord changes for the video demonstrations. I've decided to go with the common 1-4-5 chord progression in the favorite music teacher's example key of C major, which would of course give us the chords of C major, F major, and G major. Now I've arranged them into a progression where they're going to resolve downwards into that tonic C major chord. So the primary example that we're going to use as a template to go all the other ones is going to sound like this. One more time. Okay, what we're going to do next is one of the most simple concepts that we have at our disposal as rhythm players, which is the use of slight embellishments, applying hammer-ons and pull-off technique. It works itself in around any notes that may function within close proximity of the chord shapes that you happen to be using. In our case, I can apply the use of some open strings, which of course were a definite favorite of players like Jimi Hendrix, no matter where he'd happen to be, you know, around the guitar neck. There's a lot of players that use that style. You'll really hear it in Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff as well. But in my riff, I'm going to use open third string as well as some open fourth. And I've also applied one other embellishment like this at the end of the progression, but here I've used it this time as a pull-off technique. So the entire part is going to sound like this. So it's a really nice sound. It's very cool to add in. It's fairly easy to add in. You know, on some of the locations on the neck, perhaps on some keys you may be playing within, that open string sound might not be all that practical, but because a lot of songs for guitar are in keys like G major and C major, F major, also E minor and A minor, you know, we can utilize a lot of open strings in there in those certain keys, and they're going to work all right. Now, in the next example, I wanted to continue with the use of even more of the hammer-ons and pull-offs, but I wanted to add in the concept of using open strings built into the actual chords. And another idea that Hendrix loved using as well, which might have even had a philosophy, I think, with him, is, you know, if I can add open strings, I'm going to certainly do that. So, you know, included along with the open string sounds, though, another Hendrixy sound I wanted to bring about is the fact of using some chord slides. Now, in fact, the idea of sliding, you know, an entire chord round during a rhythm guitar part, it's not hard to do. It is a fantastic sound, and it really adds a lot of life into a rhythm part. So instead of just playing chords, you know, in position, something like that, just, you know, slide them around a little bit more. You can do it from above, you can do it from below. So I'm going to include in the next example some chord slide ideas. I'm going to still have some hammer-on pull-off stuff. I'm still going to use open string concepts built into the chords, you know, so the chords will actually have those open strings within them. So here we go. This is what this next progression sounds like. really nice sound with those slides and the open string intact. Really adds a lot to the sound of the progression when you are starting to pile on all these concepts. But in my final example, I'm going to sort of go in another direction here a little bit, because up till now we've mainly just worked on chords and on immediate embellishments around them, some of the open string sounds and all that. But all the great players out there, they didn't stick that close to home, with their chords. In fact, Hendrix, if we use him as an example again, as well as many other famous guitar players, they use a lot of immediate scale tones along with all the other phrasing concepts that we've already covered here. So scale tones, whether it's from the complete 7-tone scale or from 5-tone pentatonic, they can offer us a really nice harmonic filler while we're nailing these full chord harmonies or even partial harmonies, throughout each measure of our riff. It's a little more work to inject this sound into your playing, but the interesting flavor, and the character that it offers us is well worth the extra study that's required to achieve it. So in my last example, I'm going to add in some of that stuff. Here's what it sounds like. Well, as you can tell, there are plenty of ways to enhance rhythm guitar parts so as to break away from the basic strumming styles most of us will use initially. Now, a player like Jimi Hendrix had a way of using ornate rhythm techniques in his approach to play R&B style jams as well as ballads. But, as you could tell from the examples I applied here in this video lesson, the idea isn't to display awesome technique, but rather to physically nail the feel so that the overall groove produces quality rhythm playing. See, good rhythm work should be propelling the groove forward, and it should push an emphasis onto interesting places as the time is passing by. Stressing different accents and keeping a steady flow is the ultimate hallmark of great rhythm guitar playing. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for now. As always, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.